The following live stream has been approved for restricted audiences only. It will definitely contain strong language and maybe some adult themes. Almost certainly. Viewer inebriation is advised.
It happened to someone who knows someone you know. Tonight we are talking about urban legends. This was Aged Boomer's idea, and I thought it was a really good one. See, urban legends are really the natural evolution of fireside stories. People have been telling tales around campfires for thousands of years, and from them we've received our modern myths and legends, and sometimes those legends are far more contemporary. Now, in the age of the internet, there are creepypastas and Reddit threads, but it's all the same thing. We're going to share some of our favorite with you tonight. So get comfortable, top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and remember, just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it can't.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Salud and welcome. Welcome. So glad you're all here. I do not have the buy me a drink link up at the top because you could just send me a super chat or a super thanks or what do they call it? Super sticker thing. I am now a YouTube partner. Up until now, I've been a YouTube slave, but now I'm a YouTube partner. I say that because all this time, all my work gains me nothing, and yet YouTube continues to monetize streams for people that are not yet monetized. But I digress. Anyway, yay! Minor mini celebration. We'll do the big full-on celebration next week, and I'll get memberships up next week. But yeah, very excited, and just want to thank all of you, because let's face it, it was all of you that made it happen. But tonight I am sipping on a brown mumbler. Haven't had one in a long time, and that was like the cornerstone drink of the channel, so I figure I wanted to get back to it. Brown mumbler is 3 ounces of brandy, 1 of dark vermouth, and a splash or 2 or 3 of lemon lime soda. I happen to have 3 drunken cherries in this one. And take my first sip. I didn't front load it all tonight. Very good. Very good. I want to say hi to the chat, starting with the very first person I saw here was Curtis Selby. Evening. Whoop. Kind of leaped there a little bit. Putin's cat. Welcome. I guess you guys are going to be going to karaoke afterwards. I hope you have a lot of fun. Matt Cheatwood. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. And, of course, Netter of Netters Network. Last Call with Troy Pacelli. Hello, love of my life. Well, hello to you too, my dear. I love you as well. And how are you doing, and what are you sipping on?
I'm doing well. I'm sipping a Netter's Nectar, which is cranberry grape juice and Caribbean pineapple rum, which I'm now out of. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you have a couple super chats.
I have, let's see.
I saw at least 2.
You saw 2? I see 1. How do I bring this up? There's got to be a way.
Same way. Click on it.
Maybe I have to go to it in the stream. Let me jump down. Yeah, I'm still new at this, guys.
Do you want me to read some?
No, I can see them, but I just can't bring them up on I haven't figured out how to bring them up on screen yet. Give me a second here.
Presuming you would just click on them like you would any comment.
Well, then I got to find it. I got them up at the top.
Scroll until you see blue.
Oh, there we go. So we'll start with Connie Cleary. Thank you, Connie. You are my first super chat. Thank you so much. Or maybe it's a super sticker. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. That aged boomer for $5. The gnomes are not what they seem. Okay.
Scroll down more. You got more.
I know. I'm getting there. And oh my gosh, deleted seeds, $20. Congratulations. If you missed the decimal point, I can always refund you $18 if that was a mistake. But I thank you so much. That is so awesome. And then Connie again for $5. Gosh, you guys are just all out encouraging me tonight. You guys are just wonderful. We will do the big celebration stream next week because I can enable what is it called, memberships, but I got to think through the tiers and the levels and all that stuff. So I need a week to figure that out, and I will make the memberships live next week, and we'll have
you guys are so generous. Thank you.
Absolutely, you guys are so cool, super.
You are encouraging Troy so much. Although I'm going to steal some of that to buy me another bottle of Malibu.
She did. She ran out of Malibus. Oh, that's another good point. I mean, this is a single what do you call it? Single bank account. Family, so anything you send me goes to her too. So if you want to buy her a Malibu, you can absolutely do that. Just let us know in the note. This is for Netter, not for Troy. I think I said hi to Matt Cheatwood. I want to get back and saying hi to everybody. And Connie Cleary, who's absolutely a sweetheart with two super chats, because you are awesome. Netter is also streaming from her YouTube, and this I found very interesting, and I appreciate the comment. Matanui said, just to let you know, if I comment on a topic you moved on from minutes ago, I set the stream back 2 minutes, as that's the only thing that stops the buffering. I find that very interesting. Although I have noticed a buffering problem sometimes on Rumble, which I am also streaming on Rumble as well. So there you go. And let's see here. Last call with Troy Pacelli. Yeah. Blue Wrenches, keep an eye on that one, right? Especially when he gets liquored up.
It's Friday night, so you will get liquored up.
It isn't just yours; it's every stream I watch on the site. Yeah, no, that does not surprise me in the slightest, Matanui. But thanks for the feedback. That might help someone else who's having that problem with the buffering. Something to think about, guys. Hail, Tim. Good to see you, my friend.
Why does everybody say Tim with a question mark?
Because it's a Monty Python sketch.
Oh,
it's
okay.
the meme that he always uses.
Whereas I go, hi Tim.
Yes, exactly. David Pensack, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And Samuel Proctor. And you know what? I should have brought you in when you sent me the super chat, but let's get you in here now. Aged Boomer, my designated driver, who I'm certainly going to need tonight because, wow, this is a strong drink. How are you doing, my friend, and what are you sipping on?
I got myself a lemonade from McDonald's. McDonald's now has lemonade with little bits of lemon floating, lemon peel or lemon floating around.
It's lemons. There you go.
It's okay. It's no Chick-fil-A lemonade, but it's not bad. All right.
Fair enough. I think I said hi to Samuel Proctor. Hi, Samuel. Welcome. Sir Torrent, bad news. Brandon Herrera lost the election. Yes, I knew that. Good news. Wendigoon just dropped a new video. Yes, I started to watch that, but then, monetization came up, and I'm like, gee, I should probably think about working on things for my channel and being an adult. So I got it saved to my watch later. Yeah, Brandon, in fact, this was a week ago, almost a week ago was the, I think it was it a week ago last Tuesday? And hadn't heard from Brandon Herrera on his channel until just today. A video dropped, and he just was basically saying, yeah, no, so we didn't win, but it wasn't all copium. He was just saying, we did good. We sent a loud, clear message to the establishment. Look, I mean, when you are going up against an incumbent, the chances are very slim that you even have a chance. And for someone like Brandon Herrera, who's never been in politics, all he had was grassroots, to get, what was it, 48 to 51? And it was actually closer than that. He only lost by like 400 and some votes.
Yeah, it was like 49 to 50 or something like that.
Whatever. It was within 1 percentage point. I mean, he had no business doing that well. That sent a loud, clear message to the establishment that, people are not happy with Tony the Cuck in Texas. So he better get his head out of his ass.
And by the way, H Boomer is also streaming on his channel if you want to go over there.
That's right. So where are we at? We are here. We are on Rumble. We are on Netter's YouTube channel. We are on Age Boomer's Rumble channel. We are on Twitter.
Age Boomer's YouTube channel, not Rumble.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
That one. Whatever. And
Troy's the only one that can receive a Troy's channel can now receive super chats though. So
exactly. And thank you, Antonio. Welcome. So glad that you're here. And let's see, Lady Mist. Oh, dropping me the flowers and the sweet. That's nice. Yes, Boomer will be saying shit and fuck a few times. Well, apparently, I don't have a setting that prevents you from saying that in the chat. Or at least I see it in StreamYard. I don't know if it came up in YouTube or not. Oh, wait a minute. That's actually on Netter's channel, I think.
Oh,
so that might be her setting. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with the language.
No,
I'm not saying censor yourself. I'm just commenting because I think it's interesting.
Cool.
I'll look at that in a second. David, you have another super chat?
I'm getting there. Tim Hayes, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. I'm going to try getting through the hellos real quick so I can get down to all of y'all's super chat. Time to drink. Yes, it is, Tim. Thank you. Connie with another $2. Oh, Connie, please. You're going to give me a swelled head, and that starts to hurt after a while.
I don't think it's on my channel. I don't have anyone swearing.
You can almost buy your own drink. Well, maybe it was. Well, I saw it as the link, so I knew it wasn't my specific YouTube channel. Doesn't matter where you're watching from. Doesn't matter the language. There's just the one caveat. You all know what it is. You don't say because Netter's religious conviction. But other than that, feel free with the language. If YouTube doesn't let you say it, work around it.
Spell it funny.
Yeah.
Too, if you're leaving a comment on Yahoo, you have to spell things creatively in order to say something.
I like this, David. We need an urban legend about the spectral Canarble Wagon. That's a new one on me. I'm going to have to think that up. That might be a good one. That might be a lot of fun. I think what I'm doing is I'm rereading the super chats over again. Keely Chow, welcome. Well, congratulations on being monetized. Thank you, my friend. I super appreciate it. And you know what? I know I brought this up before, but to hell with it. I mean, that's a big one. Thank you, my friend. My understanding is you can go into these super chats that you see up at the top and you can like them.
You have to
I'm
do
not
that.
sure what that does, but it's a nice thing to do.
Did you bring up the one from Curtis Selby?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think that's next. CC Karaoke does a YouTube crooner live stream where he, Tom, Mythier, and Prince of Reason go around their live stream panel and take turns doing karaoke versions of songs. That would be. Does Price of Reason actually sing? Man, I would tune in just for that. That would be wow. That would be really, really cool. Let's see what is. Let's see.
And
So that was
did
the Star
say
Trek.
that his $20 super chat sheet was not a mistake.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my friend.
Very good.
So that was Star Trek Discovery. Then you showed us on Tuesday. Yeah, right. Exactly. Let's see. I mean, yeah, it probably leaves you feeling the same way at the end. Tim, you're probably right on that. Curtis Selby, thank you so much. I don't know anyone who deserves it better. Oh man,
You've been at this for years, man.
man. See, and now I want to sing that Carly Simon song. Nobody does it better. But then I'd get Well, I wouldn't get demonetized. All the money would end up going to Columbia Records or whoever the hell it is
Probably.
that always
Probably already has.
Probably.
I don't know if you saw this comment. Tim Hayes says you can always buy your own drinks. Oh, wait, you do.
So what are you drinking tonight again?
A
Brown Mumbler, brandy, dark vermouth, and 7-Up type soda.
Is the Brown Mumbler one of your urban legends, man? Is there?
It might be. It might end up being. I'll have a story. It wasn't one of my. It'll be the bonus. The bonus one at the end.
Bonus. I didn't know we were doing bonus ones.
Then we've got Nate from Geek Flag with Nate Knows 1973. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. Evelyn Hampton. I am so glad you are here, Evelyn. I hope you are feeling well. Evelyn, if you didn't hear the news at the top of the show, this Klingon is now a YouTube partner, and I am monetized. I can justify this little hobby of mine and say I make money doing this kind of sort of.
Tim wants to know, because there are a few people who may not know what the bad words are you cannot say. A difference to me. Please do not take the Lord's name in vain. You can drop F-bombs all day long.
Yeah,
and
so
all that,
don't
the
say
shit, the fuck, the whatever.
GD and stuff like
Just-
that.
Nothing that would be
No.
seen blasphemous. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't take the Lord's name in vain. That's where I draw the line. Like I tell my guests on Thursday things, if that's part of your usual vocabulary, I understand, but please don't use it on my show. You get one.
Yep.
And I scared the crap out of one of my guests when he's going along, used it, and I just got quiet and then said, "That was one," and he went, "One,
Wait,
one."
what?
Oh my gosh! Oh my
no!
gosh! Oh my gosh! And he starts apologizing. I'm like, "You do it again, I'm kicking you out." It's like, yeah, I'm really big on that one.
Real quick, Age of Boomer, I know I'm getting ahead of you, but you
What?
don't have Bloody Mary on yours.
I do not. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, if you don't mind, since
Then you
since
got to
we
pick
brought
the
it
thing
up.
that says Troy's pick unless you want to show a different image. You don't have to pick
I will
that
bring it up just because you created it.
You don't have to use it.
No, it's weird, and I want to share it because... Okay, so Age of Boomer said, I don't know if you're going to have time to put together like a slideshow or anything, so you should have like a picture of
I should have something
something
that shows that it's Troy's turn and not my turn. So.
Right. And I looked at this, and I'm like, the fuck is that? And he's like, I don't know. He says, I put it into AI and said, Troy's picked for, for this, and this is what it came up with. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is like Mr. Bean starring in Fritz Lang's Metropolis, but okay. So
this is Troy of an alternate universe. That's what I'm thinking it is.
I mean, right?
What are you, like a steampunk warlord? Is that what I'm saying here? It's like, it doesn't look exactly like I figured it was close enough.
It is weird. Let me do this. No, I don't. I don't have a slideshow. I am not that together. Even though I
But
guess
if you find
now
an image online, if you want to share your screen.
No, I already got it. I already got it.
You don't got it.
I am. I need to get more professional now that I got the thank you, Evelyn. But I would love to see Troy in Metropolis. What role would you play? I think I'd like to be that guy that's pulling the hands of the clock or whatever. But chances are I'd probably be the mad scientist. Let's be honest. But yeah, it looks like Troy on LSD. Exactly. I want to play the mad scientist. Okay, fair enough. No, I'm going to go ahead and share, because we're going to talk about first, because let's face it, Matt Cheatwood brought it up. So it is one of mine, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about...
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No, not Resurrection Mary. It was, where is she? Oh, I gotta get rid of the picture in order to be able to read the text. So Bloody Mary is legend of a ghost or a spirit or whatever, conjured to reveal the future. She is said to appear in a mirror when her name is chanted repeatedly. The Bloody Mary apparition may be benign or malevolent, depending on historic variations of the legend. Bloody Mary appearances are mostly witnessed in group participation play. Let's face it. This is something you do at a party, especially, if it's late at night or if it's overnight party. You do it to, scare your guests and whatnot. But historically, the divination ritual encouraged young women specifically. This was was the early part of the 20th century, so Victorian era, to walk up a flight of stairs backwards, holding a candle and a hand mirror in a darkened house. As they gazed into the mirror, they were supposed to be able to catch the view of their future husband's face. There was, however, a chance that they would see a skull. That's, like the face of the Grim Reaper. Instead, indicating that they were going to die before they would have a chance to marry. In the ritual of today, Bloody Mary allegedly appears to individuals or groups who ritualistically invoke her name in an act of... What the frick is that word? Catatormancy, which is
Catamarancy?
It could be. It's the divination using a mirror. This is done by repeatedly chanting her name into a mirror placed in a dimly lit or candlelit room. The name must be uttered 13 times or some other specified number. I mean, 13's a good one, right? Because there's no question you're serious. If you get that.
Bad luck.
The Bloody Mary apparition allegedly appears as a corpse, witch, or ghost that can either be friendly, evil, or a demonic spirit, and is sometimes seen covered in blood, hence the name. The lore surrounding the ritual states that participants may endure the apparition screaming at them, cursing them, strangling them, stealing their soul, drinking their blood, or scratching their eyes out. Some variations of the ritual call Bloody Mary by a different name. Hell Mary or Mary Worth are popular examples. The modern legend of Hanako-san in Japan strongly parallels the Bloody Mary mythology. So there you go. That is the Bloody Mary urban legend. Now, of course, there's also been a whole bunch of movies made about it. So, whatever your particular story may be.
Candyman.
Candyman
was inspired by it, yes.
Does have a very similar kind of legend behind it. Of course, Candyman I would hesitate to call that an urban legend since it literally starts with the movie. However, I will say this about Candyman, filmed in Chicago. So if it was going to be an urban legend, it would be a local one, I suppose. But,
well, I think it was based on this, and I think in the context of the movie, it's supposed to be an urban legend, you know. But of course, I have a ghost for mine. First one as well.
there you go.
I don't know. Let's see if you've heard this one before. Let me see if I can find out with my copious notes. What does this remind you of?
Resurrection Mary?
No, maybe.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Now I'm trying to think who Resurrection Mary is. Okay. This is from the book The Vanishing Hitchhiker, an American Urban Legend of the Means by Jan Harold Brunverd. Let's see if you've heard this one before. A traveling man who lived in Spartanburg, when he saw a woman walking along the side of the road, he stopped his car and asked the woman if he could take her where she was going. She stated that she was on her way to visit her brother who lived about 3 miles further on the same road. Mm-hmm. He asked her to get in the car and sit by him, but she said she would sit in the back of the car. That was her choice of where she would sit. Conversation took place for a while as they rode along, but soon the woman grew quiet. The man drove on until he reached the home of the woman's brother, whom he knew, then stopped his car to let the woman alight. Okay, this is written back in 1935. When he looked behind him, there was no one in the car. He thought that rather strange, so went into the house and informed the brother that the lady had gotten into his car to ride to see him, but when he arrived at the house, the lady had disappeared. The brother was not alarmed at all and stated that the lady was his sister who had died 2 years before. He said that this traveling man was the seventh to pick up his sister on the road to visit him, but that she had never reached his house yet. And let me see. This is what this version has. Looks like this was a version seen between 1935 and 1941 of this story. Mm-hmm. And there's several variations of this story. Of course, you may have heard the one here. I'll read another quick one for you. This is from Bluffton, Indiana. Let me see. This is from the San Francisco Chronicle, 1942. Bluffton, Indiana, January 25th. Mrs. Robert Newton of Elwood, Indiana, related this story here today. She and her husband drove to Indianapolis to visit her sister, Mrs. August Lemingruber, saw an old man walking along the road and gave him a ride. I have no money to pay you for your kindness, he said as he left the car, but I can answer any question you may wish to ask. Newton asked when the war would end. That's easy, said the man. It will end in July. The Newtons laughed, but the hitchhiker repeated his prediction and said it would come true as surely as you will have a dead man in your car before you reach home. Near Indianapolis, an ambulance passed the Newton car. Skidded and overturned in a ditch. The driver asked Newton to take the patient to a hospital in Indianapolis. The patient was dead on arrival. What do you think, huh?
Yeah.
This is the Vanishing Hitchhiker. But
real quick,
variations of this.
Before we go on with anything else related to this, I did want to comment on Nate's message here. He said, "Okay, I'm tired of the number 13 getting a bum rap as an unlucky number because I am the youngest of 13 children."
Oh.
Let me tell you something. I agree with you, Nate. Reason being that you will notice, you may have noticed, I don't know. You'll see a lot of Italian, especially men, wearing a gold chain with the number 13 on it. It's considered lucky in Italian culture.
Here's another thing. My father was the 13th child of 16 in his family, and he was born on August 13th. So 13 is not an unlucky number as far as I'm concerned. I rather like it.
She wouldn't be here otherwise. So yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure where the negativity of 13 comes from. I don't know if it's supposed to represent Judas Iscariot.
Well, that in and
bonus
of
house,
itself is an
yeah.
urban legend, but you're
It
right.
may be. I'm not saying
It's
that's
partly
true.
related to the 13th apostle being Judas Iscariot. Also, the whole concept of Friday the 13th and
The witches' Sabbath, right? That's what it was known as.
No. First it was the Knights Templar when they were sold out by the Pope. Might have to do a little hush hush about that someday, but there's a legend.
There are many heated debates on both sides of that. I've heard both.
But let me give my take on it. When you get into folklore, if you guys have ever followed the channel John Solo, he does folklore videos and he talks about mythology and legends and fairy tales, where the Disney stories came from and so forth. And he gets really into, I guess folklore has categorizations, right? Where you'll have a legend here, a legend there, and whatever, and they all fit into the same kind of grouping. And they probably have the same origin, and they've branched off and stuff. But this one that you're describing. It's kind of an archetype of urban legends of the hitchhiking ghost, right? So the local one here, which was on my list, Resurrection Mary, a well-known Chicago area ghost story and urban legend of the vanishing hitchhiker type. Type of
so this is in this genre. Okay.
Yeah, that is known in many cultures. According to the story, the ghost resides in Resurrection Cemetery in Justice, Illinois, a few miles southwest of Chicago. Resurrection Mary is considered to be Chicago's most famous ghost. Since the 1930s, several men driving northwest along Archer Avenue between the Willowbrook Ballroom, not there anymore, and Resurrection Cemetery have reported picking up a young female hitchhiker. The young woman is dressed somewhat formally in a white party dress and is said to have light blonde hair and blue eyes. There are other reports that she, Netter's like fluffing her hair. There are other reports that she wears a thin shawl, dancing shoes, carries a small clutch purse, and possibly that she is very quiet. As the driver nears Resurrection Cemetery, she disappears into it. According to the Chicago Tribune, full-time ghost hunter Richard Crow has collected 36 substantiated reports of Mary from the 1930s to the present. And going a little bit more into it, the story goes that Mary had spent the evening dancing with her boyfriend at the O. Henry Ballroom. At some point, they got into an argument and Mary stormed out. She left the ballroom and started walking up Archer Avenue. She had not gotten very far when she was struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver who fled the scene, leaving Mary to die. Her parents found her and were grief-stricken at the sight of the dead body. They buried her in Resurrection Cemetery, wearing the beautiful white dancing dress and matching dancing shoes. The hit-and-run driver was never found. Some researchers have attempted to link Resurrection Mary to many thousands of burials at Resurrection Cemetery. A particular focus of these is on Mary Bregovi, who died in 1934, although her death came in an automobile accident in the downtown Chicago Loop. In 1999, Chicago author Ursula Bielski, guys, I'm just doing my best with these names.
It's hard. Yeah, I was having trouble too.
Documented a possible connection to Anne Maria Norcus, who died in 1927, auto accident while on her way home from the O. Henry Ballroom. This theory has gained popularity in recent years, probably because it fits a lot of the details of the event, or of the legend, I should say. So So yeah, so I had that one on my list too, just under a different name.
Cool.
Weird personal note: when I drive for a long time, 18 hours or more, I start seeing people standing on the side of the road, but they are gone when I pass them and look in the mirror. Yeah, that one's
Weird.
pretty easily explained by just being tired and
Maybe.
the trick that your eyes play as things like trees and repeated patterns move past you on the road. It creates an optical illusion. I haven't actually told this particular part of the story, but I've told a number of times how I went down with a buddy of mine to Florida. He had a storage facility down there. He wanted to move all of his stuff up here to Chicago. And while we were there, we took a day. We went to Universal Studios theme park. So that's when I did the Jaws ride, and I
Awesome
did
ride.
the Back to the Future ride, and E.T. and all that kind of stuff. I don't think any of those are even there anymore, to be honest.
No, but I appreciate that at least most of the Back to the Future ride, it's not a ride, but all the video footage pre and also the footage of the ride are preserved.
Same with the Terminator
on the Back to
ride.
the Future DVDs, yes. So,
But so we were driving back. We were sharing the driving. We're driving a semi truck basically, full of his stuff, and the idea had been that we would take shifts and sleep in between, but I just could not sleep when someone else was driving. So I got no sleep. And when it was my turn, I got up and I was like, dude, are there supposed to be a bunch of rabbits jumping at the windshield? And he's like, dude, maybe we should just kind of pull over. I'm like, yeah. It was the first time I ever went to a Steak and Shake, by the way, because we pulled over, got some chow and a
back
shake.
when Steak and Shake was still Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Panera Bread. I'll rant about that on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
There's also a village in England that has a very similar story, except it's a young girl trying to get home to her parents. Yeah, see, it's a pretty universal story.
Can I read one more little one? It has
related
to, do with
this one?
Yes. Because apparently this one's from Korea, of all places. One such apparent missing link was produced in 1954 by Haru Aoki of UCLA when he published this tale of a Korean hitchhiking ghost, which has been striking similarities to several of the American variants. He heard it in 1941, which suggests that any cross-influence between the United States and the Far East, possibly through Oriental workers in the West, must have been accomplished at least a few years before the outbreak of war in Japan. So he's not sure, maybe somehow, either through England, as Nate said, there's a story, maybe through England, maybe somehow this got adopted by the Koreans. Sure. But about midnight, a taxi driver of Guntaka Cab Company in Kurisan, Korea, received a telephone call from the municipal crematory asking for a cab. He picked up a young lady of 20 or so in front of the crematory and was told to drive to the hardware store of a Mr. Shimu. Aroki added, "My grandfather was a very good friend of Mr. and Mrs. Shimo and told me that they recalled the incident." When the cab arrived at Mr. Shimo's place on Meiji Street, the girl told the driver she did not have the fare and asked him to wait until she could go into the house and get it. Because Mr. Shimo had kept a store at the same location for years and was a respected citizen, the driver waited outside without any misgivings. The girl, however, did not reappear. Finally, the driver became impatient and knocked on the closed door. After repeated attempts to arouse somebody in the house, sleeping-looking Mrs. Shimo showed up and asked the driver what he wanted. She seemed to know nothing of about the girl's ride. However, after the driver had described the young lady, Mrs. Shimo showed him a picture of her daughter on the wall. The daughter had died a few days before, and her body had been sent to the same crematory. The driver recognized her immediately and became fatally ill. That doesn't have such a good ending for the driver, it looks like.
No, not at all.
That's creepy, huh?
This I find interesting. Mark says, holy shit, my father-in-law, brother, father, mother are buried at Resurrection Cemetery. I've been there. Yeah. There's actually, if you want to look it up on YouTube, there's some videos about it. There's some some stories of people that have like stopped, gotten out, seen this girl like holding onto the bars. When they came back, the bars were like bent or melted or something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of interesting little details. Yeah, but there's some YouTube videos about it and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Welcome, Sashi. Welcome. Highway ghost stories are quite common. We have them over here as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Here's what's interesting, and I think that any fan of the horror genre is going to notice this too, that there are commonalities pretty much around the world of basic themes in scary stories, but Western and Eastern kind of take a little bit different tact on sometimes the very, very same legends. Speaking of Salt Lake, there's an urban legend where an English scientist in the 1890s decided to catch 2 whales and somehow brought them to the Great Salt Lake in tanks and released them there. Yeah, that's probably the least believable one. That would not work. That would not work. He said he wanted to bring them there to breed. Yeah. Some say that they're never seen again after they were released. Others say that they spotted a few times after. The others say that they were hunted. I'm 99.99% sure they weren't hunted. I'm 98% sure that they were never spotted thereafter. And if this thing actually did happen, yeah, they were never seen again. Look, Salt Lake is a big lake. There is not enough food for a whale in that lake. And look, if there had been, they would have completely eaten everything that was in that lake, and nobody would. Well, I don't know how salty it is. Is there any life in that lake? I don't know.
That'd be a scary story. Like, nothing's supposed to be alive in that lake, right?
or better yet, he brought two whales to the Great Salt Lake, let them go, and they ended up getting like pickled because it was so salty.
This is in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, I think that area in the movie The World's Fastest Indian, about a guy that rode Indian motorcycles, Anthony Hopkins is in it. He really liked. Apparently, that's where this big motorcycle race thing was, because apparently the way the sand is out there was very good for racing or something,
sure.
Or the way the salt. It was something about that people like using.
Well, the thing about that is generally around salty lakes, you're going to have salt flats.
Maybe that's what it was.
And that means
salt flats, yeah.
That means straight runways and straight raceways, and yeah, that's very common. Yes, I can answer this question. Matt Cheatwood asks, I wonder if they had highway ghost stories before cars, people in wagons and carriages, and yes, they absolutely did.
We don't know how old this urban legend is. It could go back centuries for all we know.
Yes, there are stories that involve carriages and whatnot. And in fact, there's ones where, hop up on the back of the horse, and by the time he gets to the next town or whatever, he realizes he's alone. There's nobody behind him at all.
Scroll down a few more to the orange.
JPRPH1.
Super sticker.
Thanks so much, John, with a super sticker. Let me see if I can see what that is. And it is a green, globby-looking guy, kind of like Slimer, going, go.
It's the Dumb Ways to Die guy.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's one of those guys with the
headband
going,
goal, yeah.
But yeah, it looks like one of those Dumb Ways to Die guys.
Dumb Ways to Die.
Frankly, I like those guys. I think they're funny.
Dumb Ways to Die. But yeah. Thank you so much. I kind of got a little bit distracted. But yes, thank you so much, John. I super appreciate it. But yeah, that's the So we actually both had that one on our list. So there
Yes,
you go.
so that's okay. Like I said, if we repeat, that's okay. I made this picture with AI. What do you think? Or well, I shouldn't say I made this picture. The AI made it for me. I made it through Canva, but
You
that one turned
made
out
it
pretty.
through.
This was
a
an AI
prompt.
one. This was
Yeah.
an AI one. This is not bad. This one turned out not bad. I have to be careful though, because you have to use certain words. Like you can't type in "pretty woman." It doesn't like the word "pretty," at least not on Canva.
Which one are you using?
I was using one through Canva, which is like it's like an Adobe type of thing. It's like it's used a lot.
I use Midjourney, and yeah, there's certain things you're not allowed to ask for, but I asked for one that when I was doing last week's thumbnail, I wanted a girl on the beach, right? I said specifically a pretty blonde girl, blah 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 blah, this and that. And it took me a while to get the concept.
You got to get the word right, yes.
I got to get her out there on the beach. It wanted to keep putting her back in the trees. And I'm like, the whole idea is that she's in the sun, right?
I had trouble, yeah.
It came up with, back in the trees again, with the, ended up with a girl that was topless. And I'm like, you're not supposed to be able to do that. I didn't ask for topless.
Funny. Oh, Matt Shewood has an idea. How about the Darwin Awards? Maybe that should be a future stream idea. Darwin Awards.
I'll tell you what. If you're into the Darwin Awards and you're not following Brandon Herrera, you are absolutely missing out. You are absolutely missing out. The concept of the Darwin Awards, of course, being you do something stupid that takes you out of the gene pool. And that doesn't necessarily mean you end up dead. It could mean you lose the ability to create another generation.
Like there's one where a couple of guys were jumping up and down on a bed that was stationed right by a window. And one of them jumped wrong and flew out the window. He was instantly unalived.
Well,
because he was on the 8th or 9th floor.
There was a one of those stupid online challenges or whatever, these stupid ass things that if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it? I honestly believe that about 55% of the population friggin' would. Well, apparently there was a challenge, and it was big among like gangbangers to take a pew pew and point it at your pee-pee. And, those of you that know guns, the trigger has a little bit of give before it engages.
Oh, no.
Right? And you play around with that while you're pointing it at your pee-pee.
No.
And there have been a number of Darwin Award winners who bang! And, well, he's out of the gene pool just because he'll survive it.
Not only can you be out of the gene pool, but if you aim incorrectly in that area, you can also die.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, you can't. Well, that's true because most of them are firing at an angle. You hit that femoral artery.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
But if you just take off the cojones, that takes you out of the gene pool and you'll probably survive.
Do not joke around your
junk. Yeah, absolutely. Don't joke around your junk. Look, I hate to. This isn't a political thing. This is a socio-political thing. It's just reality. Those of you that question, which side of the fence you're supposed to be on, what's dangling between your legs and not, and you think maybe you're supposed to be on the other side. Maybe if you ever want to have kids, don't plan on doing anything surgical. Okay, just saying. Because that's another way of taking yourself out of the gene pool. I feel like these things tend to, take care of themselves. So if you're stupid enough to cut off the tallywhacker or, take the hormones to, whatever, that's fine. You take yourself out of the gene pool. You don't reproduce. We don't get another generation of people that got messed up things. But I digress. But
someone in the chat mentioned this reminds them of Carrie. It actually does, because there's a scene in the movie Carrie where she is walking down the street.
Covered in blood, as I recall,
she
right?
had a longer
Which would
dress,
almost be
though.
like Bloody Mary, too.
She had a longer dress, though. But yeah, kind of similar. This one I was impressed with. Not all the AI
I'm with you, Curtis.
Sometimes
But the
AI
problem is
doesn't know
when
what
it
it's
shows
doing.
you a topless chick with, like, 3 legs and,
Yeah. Oh, don't
her
get me
whole face on
started.
the side of her head and shit like that.
I'll tell you in a little bit the one I had trouble with here, which I finally got one that was okay, and I was like, I'm going with that one. But
Yeah.
do you want me to go to the next one? Are we done with Resurrection
Well,
Mary?
let me get caught up on the chats here.
Vasectomy?
And that's
Oh no.
yeah, the vasectomy. You're right, exactly. Trigger creeps. Something to play. Yeah, right.
Wouldn't that be a do-it-yourself vasectomy?
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that is familiar with Mousetopia will not be. Oh yes, absolutely. I've shared out about that on social media a bunch of times, and it really does kind of speak to what's really happening in our society, right? You give everything you want. I should let me rephrase that. Western society. We talk about first world problems. Only in the first world could you have people stupid enough to go, yeah, gender is a social construct, and if you don't
Everything's a
agree,
social
you're a
construct.
bigot, and it's like, most of the world is dealing with, how do I put food on my table tomorrow? Only when you become wealthy enough to not understand how the world works do you start thinking social Marxism. That's, but now I feel dumb. Julie is Mark's wife. Knows this whole Bloody Mary story. The family plot has been there since the 1930s. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, if you didn't have any encounter with it, it makes sense. Man, would I have talked to 2 of my liberal friends who totally discount Mousetopia? They just don't get that there are frightening similarities. Well, here's the scientist in me, Curtis. I'm going to say that it is fair for someone to be skeptical of being able to project a behavioral study done on mice with humans, right? You could say, well, it's not it's apples and oranges, right? But it should cause you to think. Right? Just saying. But then again, we're talking behaviorists, we're talking psychologists, right? We're talking the same ones that are saying, you feel like the other gender? Let's pump you full of drugs and cut things off and add things to you, Boomer, what do you call a female to male gender reassignment?
I don't know.
An addictomy. But ching.
Oh my goodness.
I remember there being a challenge that involved lighting oneself on fire. Again, we could use a little bleach in the gene pool. Maybe get Darwin back involved. Let his work be done. We're just now seeing the population crash begin. Well, look, there's a reason that people look at Idiocracy and say, it's getting to be less and less fiction. We are seeing intelligent, educated people less likely to have children, right? And you're having more and more stupid people having children. Just saying, just the way it is. Although it is kind of swinging back the other way, because now the stupid people are, taking themselves out of the gene pool. Just saying.
All right.
Yeah, let's go on to the next one. And I'm actually going to... Oh, okay. I got to step away for a second.
That's okay, because I'm going to read a story, which you may miss, but I'll read it for the chat, okay?
Yeah, that's fair
Doge.
enough. Yeah.
It's not Doge.
That's a picture of a Doge.
I should have put Doge on there, yes. Okay, so this is a retelling of the story from Daniel Cohen's The Beheaded Freshman and Other Nasty Rumors. So I'll do my best to do a decent reading of this tale. The Watchdog. Lucy Barringer lived alone in a tough neighborhood. She was always afraid that while she was away at work or out shopping, her apartment would be robbed, or worse still, that someone would break in while she was there. So to protect herself, she bought a large Doberman pinscher. She called the dog Duke. Duke was a well-trained animal, and like most well-trained animals, like most well-trained Dobermans, he was absolutely devoted to his owner. When Lucy was home, he would follow her everywhere, never taking his eye off her. At night, he would sleep at the foot of her bed. He was a light sleeper and would be awake and alert at the slightest noise. Duke eyed all visitors with suspicion until Lucy assured him that they were all right. If anyone had been foolish enough to raise a hand to Lucy, Duke would have been on him in a second. Originally, Lucy bought Duke strictly as a watchdog, but she was so impressed with the animal's single-minded devotion that she soon came to adore him. She took care of the dog as carefully as she would have a child. If he went off his food for a day or sneezed a couple of times, she would rush him to the veterinarian, Dr. Colbert. The vet would sometimes kid Lucy about being an overprotective parent. One day Lucy came home from shopping, her arms full of bags of groceries. As soon as she opened the door, she knew something was wrong. Normally Duke was right at the door to greet her. Today he wasn't there. Duke, where are you, boy? She called. There was no answering bark, but Lucy did hear strange choking noises coming from the living room. There on the floor was Duke, gagging and choking. Lucy was horrified. She dropped her groceries and rushed to help the struggling dog, but she didn't know what to do for him. So she picked him up, put him in her car, and drove immediately to the animal hospital. Dr. Colbert knew at a glance what was wrong with poor Duke. He had tried to swallow something, and whatever it was had gotten stuck and was blocking his windpipe. I'll have to operate on him immediately to remove the obstruction, said the vet. There's nothing you can do. I don't want you hanging around worrying. You go home and I'll call you as soon as the operation is over. This is pretty routine. Dogs are always trying to swallow things and choking on them. Lucy agreed that it would be best to go home. She drove directly home. As she entered her front door, the phone was already ringing. It was the vet. His voice sounded strained, almost desperate. Duke's all right, he said, but now I want you to listen very carefully. As soon as I'm finished, I want you to hang up the phone and get out of the house, go to a neighbor's, and wait for the police to come. I've just called them. I don't have time to explain. Don't say anything. Don't hesitate a second. Just go. Lucy was very alarmed by the message and the manner in which it was delivered. She did exactly as Dr. Colbert had told her. She barely had time to get to her neighbor's apartment when 3 police cars came screaming up to the building. They were followed in a matter of minutes by an ambulance. The hall in front of her apartment was filled with policemen. Officer, I'm Lucy Barringer. I live in this apartment. Please tell me what's going on. Lady, you're really lucky, said one policeman, and you have one smart vet. The officer explained that when the vet began to operate on Duke, he found that what had been stuck in the dog's windpipe were 2 human fingers. He assumed that someone had broken into Lucy's apartment while she was out. The Doberman had caught him and bitten off 2 of his fingers. The vet also figured that the wounded intruder might still be in the apartment and could be very dangerous. That's why he called the police and told Lucy to get out of the apartment immediately. When the police searched Lucy's apartment, they found a man hiding in the bedroom closet. He was nearly unconscious from the loss of blood from his right hand, which was now missing 2 fingers. You like that one?
Good boy. Good boy.
This is known as the choking Doberman. Are you familiar with this one?
I have heard a variation on this one. I've never heard this particular one. I find it difficult to believe he'd be choking on, because I think a dog could easily swallow human fingers.
They did a Mythbusters on it, I think, and they were trying to... Yeah, go ahead, Ned.
Was the dog able to swallow whatever was equivalent to...
I'm not sure what they said, but yeah, they said some things about the legend were wrong. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ned.
It was my husband who talked over me. If he had swallowed the fingers, then there wouldn't be a story.
That's true. That's true. I have heard this similar story. It's not quite as... get out of the house. That element isn't in it, but I have heard, and this may actually be based on something. I don't know.
What?
Because dogs will eat everything. They will eat anything and everything that they perceive to be food.
Yes.
Dog trying to eat when not being supervised, got up on the table or the counter or whatever, and ate a whole cake. And what did not realize that there was a knife sticking in the cake, and had to have the knife surgically removed.
I think I heard that story, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I don't know, that it could be a true thing that happened, or maybe it wasn't.
That is an incredibly plausible story. Yeah.
Oh, look, a good Klingon targ.
Yeah, good doggy. Yeah.
Worf would like
the
this
serrated
story.
Knife too, so it was equal. It was even more dangerous because it was serrated.
Yeah.
But the dog had eaten the knife and cake all in like one swallow, and it was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I swear, if I had a Doberman and that happened, I would just shower that dog with love. Good boy. Good boy. You're earning your keep. I'm telling you. Let me buy you, I don't know, but let me get you a steak. Or the rest of that bastard that broke into the house. Either way is fine with me.
Oh, Sasha's right. That a Doberman would have any problems with fingers, maybe a Chihuahua. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah. You wanna continue to the next one?
Did you have an urban legend you wanted to do, or you want to keep going?
Well, you know what? If you're willing to wait for a moment while I pull up...
You want me to bring up the next one? Or do you want to... Well, I can wait for a moment.
You know what? I don't have... I guess I got to... If I don't have a picture, I got to add that one.
You can. I mean, it's up to you. I
don't have a picture for this one.
I can do mine next.
This one... Oh, you know what I actually should do? What I should do is share...
You might have picked one of mine. I'll go to the picture.
Give me a second. No. I'm sure you don't have this one. Let me instead present, share screen.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the what do you call it? Unfortunately, it's a little bit covered up, but you'll see. Well, you know what this is, right?
Yes.
You can see that it's a public phone. It's a public phone.
I think I know the one you're going with.
Yeah.
This one I don't have as mine, yeah.
So the CDC responds to the urban legend of the HIV scare, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This is actually from pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov.
Yep. I remember this one.
AIDS. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, recently responded to rumors which claimed that HIV-positive people were leaving dirty needles in the coin return slots of payphones and theater seats. The rumor has been spread on the internet and via fax, and the CDC calls them false. The CDC are unaware of any cases of HIV infection being transmitted via accidental needle stick, except among healthcare workers. The CDC's recommendation for handling an accidental needle prick are described. The CDC fact sheet is available on the organization's website, and the address is included. So yeah, there was this urban legend that people were, back when there were payphones. Some of you younger folks might not even remember this time, but there was a little coin return there, and whenever you'd walk past it, you'd put your finger in and go to see if there was change, because every now and again, 1 in 100 times, there'd be change in there, because if
like
people,
a dime or a quarter, you never know.
Yeah, if people put in money to make a call and then hung up, they might not think to double check to see if they got change back. If you didn't spend the amount of money that you put in, you'd get change back. And it was very easy to just walk away because you'd hear the money drop, but you always heard the money drop because the money would register at the end of the call. It would fall into the change receptacle. But if there was change to be made, it would come out to the little slot, and you'd put your finger in, you'd take it. And a lot of people would forget, so you could oftentimes... And honestly, I had a situation where if you hit the knob for change, a bunch of change was coming out. It was broken. It was just putting out change. So I got a couple bucks worth of change just from a broken phone. But there's a statute of limitations on that, Ma Bell, so leave me alone. This was like 40 years ago.
This reminds me of that real Ghostbusters episode where the guy came out of the time vortex or whatever and was in the present. I guess he'd been missing, and he says, "Wow, can I?" It was at the end of the episode, and he says, "Wow, thank you for rescuing me." He tells the Ghostbusters, "Can I have a dime so I can go to the payphone and call my wife?" And they say it's a quarter now. And he's like, "Maybe I should have stayed in the vortex or something." I remember that one.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good little.
But yeah, the rumor was that they would leave a needle in there.
Yeah,
and this was. They would really go into detail with this. They would say that it was people that were infected with AIDS that were bitter over what was happening. So they would contaminate a needle and then put that in, and or they would take a needle that was contaminated, put it into the seat at a movie theater.
Yep.
And then you'd sit on it, you'd get poked in the butt, and you'd get AIDS. And oftentimes it would be accompanied by a little note that said, "Welcome to the wonderful world of AIDS." And although we all knew it was probably BS, it's a bloodborne pathogen. So those people that were at high risk, obviously people were at high risk because it can be transmitted through mucous membranes. It's a sexually transmitted disease, right? But it was also the next biggest group of people that were at risk were people that were intravenous drug users. So in the drug community, a lot of people would share needles, and they would end up getting AIDS spread throughout the drug sharing community.
This was known as had another title. It was known as AIDS Mary, which was a variant on Typhoid Mary.
Interesting.
Which was another urban legend for, I guess, when was it? What was it, typhus or whatever that disease was, where this woman was wanting to get revenge by like leaving her disease in other areas. Like, this is before AIDS. There was another disease woman that was doing this. So yeah, this is but yeah, I do remember the AIDS one. But yeah, this goes back even further. Pick your disease of the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
AIDS. Yeah, that's what it was called. Yes, there are a lot of Marys, as Indiana Jones once said, right?
A lot of Matt Cheatwood brought up one that when this was one that Boomer and I talked about back when.
Well, maybe it's on my list. We'll see.
When we were first talking about this topic, I laughed at this. Poked in the butt and got AIDS. That gives a whole new meaning to getting it up the ass.
Oh man,
which I suspect is probably a part of where the story comes from, because yes, it was a big thing that it was mostly in the gay community, and I don't want to get into the biology of why, but again, sexually transmitted, mucous membrane, etc., etc. I live 3 hours drive away from Skinwalker Ranch. We get a few stories from there floating around. Yeah, I've heard about.
I need to research on that. I'm not familiar with Skinwalker Ranch. I need to watch some specials.
Yeah, there's plenty of YouTube videos.
I'm sure there's an Unexplained with William Shatner episode about it.
Sadly, it's one of those ones that's real easy to debunk.
Okay.
And I don't like some of these urban legends being debunked. I like to be able to believe. I want to believe, you know.
Typhoid Mary, yeah, Mark Mount, yeah, that's correct. That's what I think it comes from. I think it comes from the Typhoid Mary urban legend from many, many years ago. Now here comes AIDS. Well, I'm sorry, that's what it was called in these books I read. Listen to me. I hate to say this. Urban legends are not always very PC. For instance, sometimes editions of the Choking Doberman is insert your feared minority of choice as the guy breaking in.
Yeah,
and exactly. I've heard other versions of it too. You know, I mean, it's
that is
they're not always in good taste.
If you look into the I don't know, like Wikipedia on urban legends, it basically says, it usually reflects social mores and bigotries and all that kind of stuff.
These aren't Hollywood. This is stuff that people tell each other.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, what's funny thing is it shows up in other countries, and all countries have their urban legends. You know, in Africa, there's an urban legend. This is the one I'm just going to spread it, but apparently in Africa, there was an urban legend circulating that Gerber baby food was not for babies. It was food made out of babies that white people ate in Western countries. And this was something that circulated in Africa. Or some African countries. I heard about that. And because they had a little baby on the cover of it.
The reason, and think this through, though. There is a reason that would seem bizarre, right? Yeah. Because, again, we were just talking about first world problems, right? Yeah. The very existence of baby food, you go to the store and buy jars of pureed food. Most of the rest of the world doesn't do that.
No.
Most of the rest of the world takes their regular food and purees it to give it to themselves to give to the babies.
Yes, like the mama sparrow.
That's after they've been weaned because all mothers breastfeed. You know? It's like, for crying out loud. I'm more partial to the Navajo and first 1970s stories with wolves than anything UFOs. Yeah, we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch again.
He's asking what happened to your like button. I'm assuming it's still there. I don't know.
Do I not have a like button on my YouTube? Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
It's there. And there should now be a little a dollar symbol next to the chat.
We're gonna have the big monetization celebration next week,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. What I don't understand, and I've heard other YouTubers talk about this, is being able to see on YouTube if you get demonetized on a particular stream. You know, like if you say a no word or something like that. And I don't know where you would see that. Like it's green or yellow for monetization or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know.
Oh, and Darth Plater, since you're commenting on my stream, my like button's still in the same place it always was. Next.
Oh, there you go.
Next to where it said, I guess it says
share.
For share, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
so
lower right hand corner. It's got the three dots.
Yeah. Right
save, share, and then thumbs.
Yeah, same place it's always been.
Cool. Go to the next one.
Yep, go to the next one.
All right, you gotta bring.
Oh wait, I gotta share it.
I gotta bring my thing up, man. I'm still on the
I'm not touching your thing, man.
I'm still on Doge.
You're still on the Doge.
It's funny. I should have put Doge's picture here, but no. Anyway. Oh yeah. Okay.
Why does this guy look familiar to me?
I'm just gonna. Let me read the story. So, hold on. I gotta find it. I should have looked for this while you were messing around. That's not the one. I'm gonna do the one from. Nope, that's not the one either. Bear with me, everybody, one moment. Okay, here it is. It's the green. I have these little bookmarkers you can insert into things. You can put the tape on them. This one's called A Friend of the Family.
Okay.
All right. An upwardly mobile couple moved into an expensive suburb of a big eastern city next door to a quiet family who are rumored to have ties to the mafia. One Sunday night, returning home from a weekend away from home, the couple were shocked to find that their home had been burglarized. After assessing the damage, the couple told the neighbor what had happened, asking if they had observed anything suspicious over the weekend. The neighbors puzzlingly told them just to go to bed for now and not to notify the police right away. They would make a few phone calls and see what could be done. The couple woke up the next morning to find all of their missing property piled on the front porch.
Interesting.
Okay, these is what's known as a mafia urban legend. We'll see what you think. Does this man look Italian? Because this is what the AI came up with for like Italian next door neighbor.
You know, I did say he looked kind of familiar. He looks a little bit like my great uncle Ralph, but like
he
younger.
doesn't look Italian to me. He looks like like Serbian or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Could
too.
be,
Maybe
could
Eastern
be.
European, but he's got the chain close enough. Plus, a new take on the legend might be a Serbian.
Are you
mafia.
saying that Italians wear gold chains and you're stereotyping? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? I don't know
No,
what to
it's fine.
say. There
It
are
is.
all
It's kind of a
kinds
greaseballish type thing, but
Oh.
yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the one version of the story I read, I think the guy was in a suit in a limo. That's another version I read. In fact, one of the things he said, my idea is that since he was in the mafia and the mafia knows about local crime, I don't think it was one of their people that stole it, but they might have sent out feelers and maybe punished the person on their own that
No.
stole their neighbor's
This
property.
this is less a. I honestly think this is less an urban legend and more of a. This was kind of the point of the mafia. So you got to understand that and it wasn't just Italians. You know, I mean, I wish I could claim it, but no, it's not just Italians. It was the Irish. It was
many groups have organized crime. Like I said, even modern Eastern Europeans over there.
Exactly. It was, and it has less to do with any one in particular cultural background, so much as immigrants tend to separate themselves, right? You'd have Little Italy, little China, little whatever, right? All the different nationalities, right? And they become communities in and of themselves. And especially in the early part of the 20th century, you know, on up through, you know, through the Jim Crow laws, up through the 60s, the 70s, you had, let's face it, racism is a thing, right? And it manifested oftentimes in the kind of protection the police force would give you. Sometimes you just couldn't rely on the police. So the neighborhoods
sometimes you still can't rely on the police, let's be honest.
Especially in Chicago, just saying.
Yes.
But so the neighborhood would have to start taking care of themselves. This is where a lot of the organized crime would begin, right? Because it would be not only, you know, taking care of the neighborhood, but it was also, hey, look, you know, we can't get a fair shake, we can't get a job, we can't get whatever. Screw it, we're going to break the law, you know, what it comes down to. So this whole idea of a protection racket, right? Yeah, it's a bad thing, but at the same time, it was, for some, it was very much worth it. It was like, you give 10% of what you make to the local enforcer, and suddenly there's no fucking crime. Holy
People are
cow.
too afraid to come in and rob your shop, so you give a little kickback, and then your place.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the police force worked that way? You know, police show up and they go, "We're here for our monthly donation. Here's 10%. You know, I will withhold this if I start seeing crime in my neighborhood." You know, the problem is that's how representative government works. We pay our taxes. There's a separation from the police, and the police are like, I am under no obligation to put my life on the line to protect you. I'll show up and file a report when this is over.
Sometimes. Curtis Selby
I'm just
said,
talking Chicago. That's all I'm talking. I'm not even talking locally.
Curtis Selby says, I finally watched The Godfather the other day. He loved it. Yeah, Godfather's a great film.
Oh, I can guarantee you we will be doing a Godfather watch party on some upcoming Monday. Absolutely. Yeah. We haven't done that yet. We absolutely need to. Our urban legends are the Orang Minyak, a person who appears to be covered in oil who would break into your house and killer attack you.
I'm curious about this. Is this like a regular mortal person that just covered themselves in oil, or is this like a guy that covered himself in oil? Is this some supernatural thing? That's what I'm curious about. Because not all urban legends are supernatural over here. I'm sure the same thing where you're from. And I think you said he was in Malaysia. I think you said Sashi was from.
Matt, I could not agree with you more. But unfortunately, there's recently been a SCOTUS case that pretty much said, yeah, the police are under no obligation to protect you. So if that wasn't the biggest endorsement for the Second Amendment, I don't know what is. You are your own first and last line of defense. You have a right in this country, and I'm talking the United States, you have a right in this country to carry a weapon to protect yourself. I recommend you do it. And fuck the trolls on the internet that, don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it now. Yeah.
Another one is the Toyol, a small demon summoned by someone who breaks in and steals the wealth from others.
That's creepy.
Well, it sounds like a homunculus or an imp. Yeah. All holdovers from serfdom. Yep. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. I think that because the fact is, my grandmother and grandfather knew people that, I mean, we're not talking, I knew someone who said they heard it from somebody who, no, this was grandma literally knew someone that this actually happened to, this was, just the way it was. This is why my family, whenever we would go to Queen of Heaven Cemetery, Mount Carmel Cemetery. They're right across the street from each other, and we've got family buried in both. I kind of confuse them, but every time we'd go past Al Capone's grave, because as soon as you drive in and turn right, his grave is right there. Always tip your hat, salute. Capo.
Yeah, people will leave coins on the
They'll
grave.
leave coins, they'll leave cigars,
flowers.
The Italian community still, because honestly, for all the horrible things he did, he was good to his community.
Plus, that was during the Great Depression for a portion of that too. So yeah.
Yep. They're said to be demons, but more likely to be some dude that doesn't want to be caught, covered himself in oil. Dude, there's easier ways to conceal yourself, for crying out loud.
Oh, that could work, though.
It would work, absolutely.
I'm thinking about the logistics of that.
Alan Scarfy died at the age of 77. He was an actor. He's an actor whose face you were seeing in numerous projects, from Star Trek to Andromeda. And the time-traveling TV show 7 Days. Oh, I loved 7 Days. Oh, that was a great show. Yeah,
they had to stop a disaster, like a murder or a terrorist attack that would have happened in 7 days, right? And they would send some guy back in time 7 days, or he'd get a newspaper. I don't remember what it called, but I remember.
And it starts out with they use it because there was this I don't remember what the attack was. It was like a 9/11 type thing or something like that. And they were like, we got to send you because we can only send you back 7 days. And
cool. All right. So do you have another one?
Oh, I know this guy. Yes, he was. He played the Romulan in that one episode with the the survivors of Kittimer and whatnot. He was also in One Life to Live. Oh man, that's too bad. Let's give him a shout out on Sunday, huh?
Yeah, I'll try to remember that. I'll see if I can find
I'll
it.
put it in the notes. Don't worry.
If you want, I can find it.
That's my job.
All right.
Bless you.
All right.
Is it your turn or mine?
Your turn next, because I did. I didn't know if you would do this one, because I figured you might have some things to say about this, since this is Italian American.
Unfortunately, I got to move my camera because I can't open up another tab with the camera in the way.
But yeah, you're next.
Give me just a second. Sure. I have the perfect image.
But I figured.
I just gotta.
And again, this is the AI made this picture. More. The AI made a lot of bad pictures too. Keep in mind, these are the ones that were good. A lot of them were not like this. At least looks like a person, sort of. There are no hands being shown, at least.
Yeah, let me bring this one up. Okay, you guys will all recognize this. Let me get back to my StreamYard.
The Blight Hills.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew I was going to go there. This was in my thumbnail, so I had to cover this one. Oh darn it! Stop. Yes. So Paul is dead. An urban legend and conspiracy theory alleging that English musician Paul McCartney of the Beatles died in 1966 and was secretly replaced by a lookalike. By the way, there is a similar urban legend related to what's her name? The "Hit Me Baby One More Time" girl.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, yes. The rumor circulated in 1966, gaining broad popularity in September of 1969 following reports on American college campuses. According to the theory, McCartney died in a car crash, and to spare the public from grief, because that's a thing you would do, right? The surviving Beatles, aided by Britain's... Oh, God, this is...
I remember this one. I read about this one, yes.
Aided by Britain's MI5, replaced him with a McCartney look-alike, subsequently communicating this secret through subtle details on their albums. Now, wait a minute.
McCartney's the one in white, correct?
First off,
yes. What?
If it bleeds, it leads. The news would be all over this. They would want to report it up and down. They would not want to cover it up. That's bass-ackwards. MI5 would not give a shit about a rock and roll person dying. They would not care. They would not get involved. You know? And finally, if you are trying to cover something up, you don't put clues all over the damn place. Just saying.
This reminds me of how there are all these clues that Tupac is still alive and on an island somewhere. I've heard people say this too, or maybe they've seen Elvis. But this one I thought was rather elaborate because this had there were clues. Now let's look at this album cover. Do you remember what they said about the album cover?
There's a couple things. So you got there's four guys in the band, right?
4 Beatles, yes.
And are you seeing my
McCartney is second from the left. Okay, that's right. Okay.
McCartney's second from the left. There's two differences between him and the others. Okay, first, everyone else, he's out of step with everyone else. He's got his right foot forward. Everyone else has their left foot forward. Yep. Also, he's barefoot, and the others are not.
Who else is barefoot? Corpses.
Nobody. Oh, corpses. Okay. I didn't make that connection. Okay.
I think that was. I read that in one of the urban legend books. Yeah.
By the way,
yes.
This is the intersection out in front of Abbey Road Studios. Do you know where in this picture? Well, it's not in this picture. Where is Abbey Road in relationship to where these boys are? Do you know?
No.
It's off to the left. I'm pointing as if you guys were seeing the picture the same orientation I am. It's off to the, I guess for you it'd be to the left. Yeah, anyway, so that is, I was going to say that's a one-way street, but it's not. That's Britain. It's backwards. Let me see. So, proponents perceive clues among elements of Beatles songs and cover artwork. Clue hunting proved infectious, and by October 1969 had become an international phenomenon. Rumors declined after Life published an interview with Paul McCartney in November of 1969. The phenomenon was the subject of analysis in the field of sociology, psychology, and communication. During the 1970s, Paul McCartney parodied the hoax with the title and cover art of the 1993 album Paul is Live. The legend was among 10 of the world's most enduring conspiracy theories, according to Time in 2009. So let me get real quick to the premise here. Many versions of this theory have arisen since the initial exposure to the public, but most proponents of the theory maintain that I'm surprised that it's this specific, the 9th of November 1966, alternatively the 11th of September of the same year, McCartney had an argument with his band members during a Sgt. Pepper's recording session and drove off angrily in his car, distracted by a meter maid, lovely Rita, not noticing the traffic lights had changed, a day in the life, crashed and was decapitated. Don't pass me by. A funeral service for Paul was held with eulogies by George, Blue Jay Way, and Ringo, Don't Pass Me By, followed by a procession, Abbey Road's front cover, with Lennon as the priest officiating his funeral and burying him, and the alleged "I buried Paul" statement in Strawberry Fields Forever. To spare the public from grief, or simply as a joke, the surviving Beatles replaced him with the winner of a Paul McCartney look-alike contest. The scenario was facilitated by Beatles' recent retirement from live performance and by their choosing to present themselves with a new image of their new for their new album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which began recording later that month. In LeBauer's telling, the stand-in was an orphan from Edinburgh named William Campbell. Oh my gosh. Whom the Beatles then trained to impersonate McCartney. Others contended that the man's name was Bill Shepherd, later abbreviated to Billy Shears, and the replacement was instigated by Britain's MI5 out of concern for severe distress. Paul McCartney's death would cause the Beatles audience. Again, nobody cared. In the later tellings, the surviving Beatles were said to be racked with guilt over their actions and therefore left messages in their music and album artwork to communicate the truth to their fans. If you're really feeling guilty, you just confess. It's easy to do, especially when you're a public figure.
They
can't
can't
get public figures to shut the hell up these days.
MI5 got involved, man. This is for the state of the UK. Come on, this is
What people also forget is that this whole concept of the counterculture back then, the establishment would have been cheering the fact that some hippies died, you know. So no, MI5 would not have given the two plug nickels. Dozens of supposed clues to McCartney's death have been identified by fans and followers of the legend. These include messages perceived when listening to songs being played backwards and symbolic interpretations of lyrics and album cover imagery. Two frequently cited examples are the suggestion that the words "I buried Paul" are spoken by Lennon in the final section of the song Strawberry Fields Forever, which the Beatles recorded in November and December of 1966. Lennon later said the words were actually cranberry sauce, and that the words number 9 in Revolution 9 from the White Album became Turn Me On Dead Man, Turn Me On Dead Man, when played backwards. Similar reversal at the end of I'm So Tired, another White Album track, yielded Paul is dead man, miss him, miss him, miss him. Yeah. And if you've ever listened to some of these backwards tracks, you're like, I'm only hearing it because suggested it. I don't really hear it. Another example of the interpretation of Abbey Road album cover as depicting a funeral procession. Lennon dressed in white, said to symbolize a heavenly figure, star dressed in black, symbolizing the Undertaker, George Harrison in denim, representing the Gravedigger, and Paul McCartney barefoot, and out of step with the others, symbolizing the corpse. The number plate on the white Volkswagen Beetle in the photo, containing the characters LMW281F, mistakenly read as 28IF, was identified as further evidence. 28IF representing Paul McCartney's age if he had still been alive, although McCartney was 27 when the album was recorded and released, while LMW stood for Linda McCartney Weeps, or Linda McCartney Widow, although McCartney, these are such a stretch. Although McCartney and then Linda Eastman had not yet met in 1966, the year that Paul's alleged death. That the left-handed McCartney held a cigarette in his right hand was also to support the idea that he was an imposter. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many things I do. I'm not ambidextrous, but there's a lot of things that I do right-handed and left-handed. It's, oh my gosh. It's just, oh gosh. Well, there you go. That's the whole Paul is dead thing. I knew that was going to be the longest one that I had, but I had to.
Oh no, this was a fascinating one for me. Who mentioned something that they forgot what song it was, but I think if you played it backwards, it said Paul was bloody. I think it's in the chat.
I don't know. It's
you think this is nonsense?
It is absolutely nonsense. It is a huge stretch.
Hello, MI5. Yes, this is. I'm sorry, I'm reading Geek Flag. Hello, MI5. Yes, this is MI5. Hey, Paul McCartney is dead. Can you help us cover it up? A hippie is dead. It must be Tuesday. Oh,
yeah, exactly. That would have been probably the first thing to say. Oh, did he die of an overdose?
Untold story. The Beatles were part of MI5, of course, and Elvis was also a spy as well. Yeah, I'm just saying. But
that one actually is a little bit more plausible. Elvis was real big on law enforcement. He collected badges. He became a honorary police in Kentucky, and that one I find a little bit easier to believe. But anyway,
you like my pick?
I'm looking at fried chicken. I'm getting hungry. I'm guessing you're going to tell a story that is going to curb my appetite. However.
Maybe, yes. All right. So this is from Maryland. This is from Brunvand again. I keep getting his name wrong. Maryland Folklorist, George C.A. published this version of this particular story. He heard in 1971 from a federal employee in Washington, D.C. The brother-in-law of the narrator said he actually knew a nurse who worked in the hospital mentioned in this story. Let's go ahead and read it briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Two couples stopped one night at a notable carry-out for a fried chicken snack. The husband returned to the car with the chicken. While sitting there in the car eating their chicken, his wife said, "My chicken tastes funny." She continued to eat and continued to complain. After a while, the husband said, "Let me see it." The driver of the car decided to cut the light on. To cut the light on. Must be the old expression. Mm-hmm. And then it was discovered that the woman was eating a rodent, nicely floured and fried crisp. The woman went into shock and was rushed to the hospital. It was reported that her husband was approached by lawyers representing the carry-out and offered us the sum of $35,000. The woman remained on the critical list for several days. Spokesmen from the hospital would not divulge the facts about the case, and nurses were instructed to keep their mouths shut. And it is also reported that a second offer was made for $75,000, and this too was refused. The woman died, and presumably the case will come to court. What do we think?
If that's the story from KFC and their rat chicken, it turned out to be an urban legend. It never happened.
Yeah.
But I want to say...
the thing is that a lot of those elements are implausible at best. The only way you can explain her getting sick, going into shock, being in the hospital for days, is oh, she's milking this for the lawsuit. That's the only way that happens. Because, disgusting as it may sound to you, you deep fry a rat and eat it, you've just killed any diseases that it's carrying. It might not seem palatable, but I hate to tell you this, rat is absolutely edible.
Yep.
Particularly if it's cooked. Look, the way that this comes to pass, and it also depends on when the story is told, whether or not it's plausible. You go back far enough, and KFC and any other kind of batter fried chicken had to be made by hand. There was no way someone was batter frying a rat and throwing it in with the chicken. That was not happening.
Well, maybe,
however, in more modern day, that's not how chicken is made. This is all being done by machine. And if a rat gets into the machine, that could absolutely happen. And I hate to tell you, but it happens all the time. There's all kinds of gross stuff that gets into your food.
You want to hear a horror story? My own food horror story? I don't know if I want... I've never repeated this to anybody. And I'm going to repeat it here now. Sure. And this happened to me. Chef Boyardee ravioli.
You're going to ruin Chef Boyardee ravioli.
I am going to ruin Chef Boyardee ravioli for you. I was eating it. And then suddenly there was like a hair like in my mouth. And I was like, ugh. And I was trying to pull the hair out.
Yeah.
And the hair was caught on the ravioli partially down my throat.
Yeah.
I never ate Chef Boyardee.
Happens to me all the time because I live with Netter.
Oh, no. But I'm just saying.
No, come on. Am I lying here?
I'm not saying a word.
Her hair gets everywhere.
That threw me off, and it's one of these things where, like, no, I'm not going to bring it to the company. I'm just not going to buy Chef Boyardee anymore. Oh crap! I don't want to get your channel into trouble because they're going to say I'm spreading lies, even though it did happen to me.
No, but I'm not going to defend them, but I'm going to push back a little bit and say, look, this is part of.
Happens.
This stuff happens all the time. I mean, there is, especially when you have this automated food. Look, the only way you can be certain that that your food is what you expect, make it yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have no idea. Look, a hair in your ravioli. I'm sorry. Read the ingredients. The things that are supposed to be in that are worse. I'm not kidding. The preservatives and chemicals they put into your food, people, you have no idea. If you understand the canning process, you know that there's nothing dangerous about that hair being in it. Any germs that were there are dead. That's what the canning process is for. So, yeah, it might not be very palatable. It might turn your stomach, but it's not dangerous in any way.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, some of the stuff they're putting in your food that you're eating every day, and you're going, yum. It's killing you.
Well, Darth Vader says, I've heard stories of hotels linking the ice cube machines to the sewage line to save money. Oh, no.
I don't know about that, but there are legitimate stories of there was one the turn of the century where a bunch of people were getting, I don't remember what it was. I want to say Legionnaire's disease. And they traced it down to people taking drinks from a specific public water fountain. And the water fountain was compromised. It was it should have been clean water, but there was some rusting in the pipes and sewage was getting into it. And it was contaminated. And that's where everyone was getting Legionnaire's disease from. So they had to shut it down and completely redo the pipes. That's it. I mean, documented history. That's not an urban legend. That, in fact, the forensics that went into discovering where, by looking at the neighborhood and figuring out what neighborhood this was probably. The thought process is what's led to, you know, the CDC and the whole idea of tracking disease and whatnot. So, yeah, it's gross, but this is just reality, you know. Oh, Moira Kitty, welcome. So glad you're here. Yeah, we were just talking about. You just happened to come in at probably the grossest story that we were telling. We're talking about different urban legends.
It may not be the grossest. Anyway.
Oh, you got a grosser one?
I don't
coming up?
know. We'll see. I'm going to say there's another. I remember seeing on.
But thank you for being here, Moira Kitty. I super appreciate you.
I remember seeing an actual news report being broadcast on like the local news about a man who went into McDonald's, got a McRib, and he was eating a McRib rat sandwich, and like he had to wrestle the sandwich away from the employees that were trying to take it away from him, and I think he was planning to sue. Now I'm wondering, did that really happen? Because the news was treating it like it was an actual story, and they even had like an X-ray of the sandwich, or is that another urban legend that they were duped by? That's what I'm wondering.
Don't know, but I'll tell you, like I said, again, this comes down to the way that the food. Look, anyone who's ever worked in fast food, French fries, there's nobody in the back at McDonald's is cutting potatoes, okay? There's this big brown bag of frozen French fries that you rip open and you pour out into your fryer and you make them. And those fries did not get there by someone hand placing them in. It's a machine that does that. And I'm telling you, all kinds of vermin can get into those machines. You want, like I said, you want to be certain that you're not possibly gonna run across something gross. Make your own food yourself by hand.
This might explain why companies like HelloFresh are so popular now. The dropping off the ingredients to your door and you see them in front of you.
Well, there's that, and look, this is not a sponsored, even though I have been monetized, I am not sponsored by HelloFresh, but Netter and I used HelloFresh for a long time, and what we realized is that a meal from HelloFresh was about the same or less than what we were spending on fast food.
Right.
And it was bigger portions.
Filling.
Yeah, filling. I would have a single portion and I'd end up making 2 meals out of it, and way healthier. So, we did that for a while. The thing is that I think about how much you would spend if you were eating out every single meal. It ended up becoming a little more expensive than we wanted to spend, and we took a break from it. We may go back someday, especially if I end up getting a sponsorship. Just saying. Either
from HelloFresh or that other one that White House did recently, which I can't remember the name of now.
Oh, Moira, I didn't know that you came from where the winds come sweeping down the plains. I'm sorry, I had to.
Moira's purring at me. It's like, but my sister, we were at some little diner. It was me, the sister that's right above me, the one I don't particularly care for, and so me, her, and my mom were at this little diner thing. There might have been another sibling with us, but I don't recall. And my sister's sitting there drinking her Coke, and she gets down to near the bottom where she could see the bottom of her cup, and there was this big greasy screw sitting in there, and she just went,
it fell off from the machine, right?
Yeah. She calls over the waitress. Waitress is like, "Oh, that's where that went."
Wow.
Yeah, I just simply got her a new soda, and that was it.
Maybe the meal's on the house. That meal should be on the house.
I don't know if they discounted anything or comped the meal or anything. They tried to make it act like it wasn't a big deal so that we wouldn't sue them or something. I don't know.
My mother had a meal. We went to a restaurant. I have no idea what it was she was eating. She took a bite out of it and she's like, and she couldn't. And she pulls out of her mouth.
What?
You ever seen those rubber spatulas, the head of a rubber spatula? That's what was in her food.
Oh my goodness.
It happened, probably in the kitchen. So Nate's saying that particular one was
that was someone trying to pull a scam.
Look, that's the other thing. Yeah. A lot of these are gonna be hoaxes because once you have a story out there like that, they're like, "Hey, Let me see what I can. I mean, this is the same as the guy that walks out in front of traffic trying to get hit by a car so he can sue. You know, it's fraud, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
delicious fried chicken there, made by AI.
Oh, I didn't know this. I see. I'm hearing from a lot of people on YouTube that raise their own chickens now. Actually, my buddy, one of the guys that I play D&D with, his daughter and her husband have started raising chickens. They started raising chickens and selling the eggs. That's how successful they've been. You know? Yeah. Guys, start farmsteading. Eventually I'm going to do a stream about food freedom. You really need to... This is going to be the next fight. You gotta fight for your right for what happens with your body, what goes into your body, and what doesn't go into your body. Just saying. If you don't have food autonomy, if you don't have bodily autonomy, you have no freedom whatsoever. Just saying. You know. Anything else to say about icky things found in your fried food?
No, there's just the AI image would not give me an actual Southern fried rat picture, so I just give me fried chicken. Okay. After all, it was supposed to fool you.
Is that a picture of generated by AI?
Yes, but to be fair, AI can pull from all these images of fried chicken floating online to make a composite of what it thinks fried chicken looks like. So
that's freaking amazing. I never would have guessed. I would have assumed that was just a Google poll.
No. Tonight I did an experiment. I said we're just going to try with the AI. I mean, I'm still paying for Canva at the time, so I might as well.
I mean, that's a friggin' drum leg right there in the upper left.
I need one of those. I like drumsticks,
and it really does look like KFC. Man, now I am hungry. See, unfortunately, nothing you said is putting me off the fried chicken.
Geekfly. I must protest use the AI that will replace us. Remember Terminator. I won't use them all the time. It's just for tonight. Plus, Troy doesn't worry about getting his stream taken.
Actually, you know what? If you don't mind, I'm gonna. I got to zoom out if I'm going to share this again. Yeah, real quick, let me present, screen share. Again, this picture that I did.
What you got here? You got another
partially
AI.
I Spy.
This is like I Spy.
Partially AI. This picture I generated on Midjourney, and I specified that I wanted because I thought you were going to talk about the back rooms, to be honest with you. So I said I want a back room with no window. I had to specify no windows. Kept giving me windows. I'm like, it's not a back room if there's windows. You know, so I said a back room with no windows, a pay phone, and a mirror. I got the mirror. I kind of got a pay phone, but it didn't really look like any kind of pay phone I'd ever seen before. So I liked the room. I liked the mirror. So I went in and I photo edited and put a stock picture of a payphone there. The Sgt. Pepper's poster on the side I photoshopped in myself. That was fairly easy. And again, you know, if you weren't here earlier when I mentioned it, I actually put in as if the mirror was reflecting the words, urban legend, the back of the last call symbol on there. I put some detail in there.
It looks good.
I wanted to make it a little bit as if, you know, if those words urban legend weren't there, you'd see a reflection of yourself and you'd be able to say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
it's your turn. Go ahead. It's your turn next. Did you have one?
I do. But actually, I got to stop sharing this, don't I? First, I got to stop sharing.
It's up to you.
And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something that is not an urban legend. give me a second. Let me bring up a picture for you.
Slugbug Blue.
Oh, you're right. That is a Volkswagen.
Convertible.
I'm not sharing it yet, though. That's not fair. Present, share screen, entire screen. There we go. Okay. So.
What is that?
It's a nice house. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is the Mays Lake Peabody Estate. Mm-hmm. An estate constructed as a county home for Francis Stuyvesant Peabody. Stuyvesant. That's a hell of a name.
I like that.
Francis Stuyvesant Peabody between 1919 and 1922. The estate is located in western Chicago suburb of Oak Brook, Illinois. Those of you that were here for the stream where you were talking about the New York park where a bunch of people got injured, I was talking about Despence's Castle of Toys and whatnot. That was in Oak Brook. I showed you a map of it. Oak Brook, Illinois, United States, and is now part of the Mays Lake Forest Preserve, administered by the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County. Originally encompassing an area of 848 acres, the estate now contains a total area of 87 acres. The entire complex features the Tudor Revival style Mays Lake Hall. That's what this is. It's a retreat wing and a portiuncula chapel, a replica of the Chapel of St. Francis of Assisi in Italy. Approximately 22 acres, the wetlands, lakes, restored prairies, and 2 small oak savannas are included within the 87 acres territory. On November 8, 1994, Mays Lake Hall was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So, I'm not even getting to the legend part. This is all just real-world history. Okay. The Mays Lake Peabody Estate was constructed from 1919 to 1921 for wealthy coal baron and Democratic politician Francis. I'm going to keep tripping over this middle name. Stuyvesant.
Just ignore the middle name.
Okay. Francis Peabody. Okay.
There you go. Sounds great.
At the time of the estate's construction, Peabody was the owner of the largest coal companies, one of the largest coal companies in the United States, and Peabody Coal Company, which has since become Peabody Energy, the largest private sector coal company in the world. Peabody first began purchasing land in the eastern portion of DuPage County in 1910. He used the land to create Peabody Farms, later renamed Mays Lake Farms. By 1919, Peabody had approximately 848 acres of land, and for use between parcels, he owned and leased construction of Mayfair Hall. His Tudor Revival style country home began in 1919. The estate is named in honor of his first wife, who died in 1907, and his daughter, both of whom were named May. Only a year after Mays Lake Hall was completed, on August 27, 1922, Francis Peabody died of a heart attack during a fox hunt on his property. Peabody was 63 years old at the time of his death. I gotta finish the history on this because it's germane to the legend. Mm-hmm. After Francis Peabody's death, his family did not wish to reside in the estate, and on March 28, 1924, the estate was sold to the Franciscan Order for a total of $450,000. That's in 1924 dollars. I don't know what the conversion is. Beginning in 1925, the Franciscans used Mays Lake Hall as a retreat house. After Peabody's death, the Portiuncula Chapel, again, replica of St. Francis of Assisi in Italy, was added to the property in memory of him. Completed in 1926, the chapel was one of the first replicas of the original chapel in the United States. The chapel at Franciscan Monastery of the Holy Lands in America in Washington, D.C. was also built around the same time. Originally, the chapel was located at the site of Peabody's death. It was moved to its present location near the mansion in 1973. Behind the chapel, a semicircular memorial wall surrounding a flower and herb garden was constructed by the Franciscan Order of Friars Minor. In 1927, the St. Joseph Seminary was added to the complex, but was later demolished in 1951. An additional wing was... The important point is that the Catholic Church was involved in the ownership. In 1991, the Franciscans announced the pending sale of the remaining 87 acres to a developer who planned to raise remaining buildings and build 130 luxury homes. Conservationists, historic preservationists, and DuPage County citizens formed a group to save the historic property. With the assistance of the group's effort, DuPage County voters approved a $17.5 million referendum providing the Forest Preserve District with funds to purchase Mays Lake in 1992. The area is now part of the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County. Mays Lake Hall hosts cultural and educational programs throughout the year, including lectures, art classes, and concerts. Restoration in progress tours of the hall take place on Saturdays and Wednesdays. The estate is also home of the first Folio Theater. Now, what the hell does that all have to do with an urban legend?
Yeah.
Well, let me see if I still have it up. I had, unfortunately, I lost the history. Give me just a second here. The Legend of Peabody's Tomb. So this is one person's account, and after I share this person's account, I will tell you my version of the story. I grew up in Villa Park, which is a western suburb of Chicago. There are so many scary stories from the area. Here's one I'll never forget. It's the story of Peabody's Tomb. I'm sure there are other versions, but this is how I remember it. This is how the legend goes. Old man Peabody was rich. He owned a mansion in Oakbrook. When Mr. Peabody died, he was placed in a tomb on his property. The story says he was so rich that he was buried with all kinds of gold, but that's not it. The legend is that his body parts pickled, put in jars, and placed in the tomb. There's also another version that claims he was placed in a glass coffin so you could see him filled with liquid to keep him from decomposing. Either way, it's pretty darn creepy. The urban myth continues that Peabody's grave gave his mansion and property to monks to keep for when he died. They were also instructed to keep people away from his tomb. It was said that if the monks caught someone on the grounds, usually curious teenagers, they would be made to kneel on glass as punishment. Of course, in high school, some friends and I decided we wanted to check this out for ourselves. When we tried to sneak into the property, a caretaker chased us away. He threatened to call the police, so we took off, afraid of getting arrested for trespassing. We didn't see monks or a tomb, but my personal indoctrination into this legend was my Uncle Richard, who he grew up in Broadview, but near suburb. And he said basically that same legend, except for the kneeling on glass. It wasn't kneeling on glass. You would kneel for hours, and you were forced to pray for atonement, and you would kneel on hard ground, and your knees would be pretty badly bruised up after the hours of praying that you had to do. His version of the story was that Peabody was, yes, in a glass tomb in formaldehyde. You could see it inside the tomb if you could sneak in, but you couldn't. Never see anything about the gold. You would think that would have gone to the monks. But here's the evidence that would be true. He died where the chapel was built. The Franciscans purchased the land and took over. No reason to believe his body was ever actually there, but yes, this urban legend was very persistent for a very long time. Teenagers were constantly trying to get there, and the Franciscan priests that tended to the place were actually pretty cool about it. They would talk about it all the time when they did tours. They would show you the chapel. During the day, there's nothing to see. You didn't have to sneak in. And from what I've heard from people that actually did try to sneak into the grounds, they were also pretty cool about people sneaking at night. They knew that there was interest, and as long as no one did any damage, they didn't give anyone too much grief about it. They might piss you off, that's about it. But yeah, that's the number one urban legend, that I remember in this area.
Would athletes go into the pickled Peabody and sample some of the Peabody pickle juice to help with their running and athletics? Would this
Again,
happen?
my
No?
uncle said it was formaldehyde, so no,
Okay.
absolutely not. But that would have been an interesting take on it, because actually that's historically what was his name?
Oh no.
Magellan. When he circumnavigated the world, he didn't make it, and they put him in. They pickled him in wine, and it's said that the crew used to drink from that wine,
Right.
so that by the time they got back, there was no wine left, and he had gone off. But
And then, of course, there's the old story about going somewhere to park to make out, and you hear noises
No.
on the car door.
We'll get there.
Oh, is that one you're going to be doing?
there you go. Let me bring you back in with your fried chicken. Go ahead with
Okay.
your story.
Are we going to write it out on YouTube tonight? You
Yeah,
think?
let's just
Okay.
finish it out here.
And I'll, like I said, I can probably stay till 1, okay? But then I got to bow out. But that gives us 50 more minutes
Well,
to go through these.
You're gonna wrap, because this is your last one, right?
No, I told you I did 10. Did you do 10?
Oh, I did 5.
Oh, heck,
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
know that. I can stop at
Oh,
5.
that's okay. That's okay.
All right. I didn't
Well,
realize.
I got to hear about the gnome now.
This is a short one. I don't think I'll spend too much time on them. Do you like gnomes, Netter?
I have a gnome actually sitting in my kitchen waiting to be repainted so I can put him in my garden.
Yep.
Okay. So, this is written another from Daniel Cohen's book of urban legends, and keep in mind this is written before Harry Potter came out, just in case anyone has any snarky comments in there. You must have seen garden gnomes. They are figures of little bearded men made of concrete or stone, about 2 feet high, usually wearing green jackets and brightly colored striped caps or with tassels. They are popular lawn or garden decorations, along with pink flamingos and jockeys holding rings. There may even be some in your own backyard or front lawn. Garden gnomes are particularly popular in England, where some strange stories have circulated about them. This is one of the strangest. So this is the story. Mr. Harry Porter awoke one morning and strolled out into his garden, as was his
You said
habit.
Porter, right? P-O-R-T-E-R.
Harry Porter. This was
Okay.
written before Harry. This is written in the early 90s.
That's
Harry
fine. I
Potter
just
was
want to
so-
make sure we get his name right.
Harry Porter, yeah, I'm sure this is his name. Anyway, Mr. Harry Porter woke one morning and strolled out into his garden, as was his habit. Almost immediately, he sensed that something was wrong, but he couldn't quite figure out what. It was several minutes before Harry realized what was amiss. The four garden gnomes that usually stood alongside the garden path were missing. Harry's first thought was that they had been stolen. But who in the world would want to risk stealing so common and heavy an object as a garden gnome? Harry's gnomes were pretty battered by time and weather and would have been worth nothing to a thief. Harry puzzled over the strange event for a while before he noticed that the concrete toadstool that had been part of the gnome display had not disappeared, and there was a note taped to it. The note, written in simple block letters with a black felt tip pen, read, "Dear Mr. Porter, we have decided to take our annual vacation. We will be back before you take your vacation so that we can look after things while you are gone. With best wishes, the gnomes."
Wow.
What do you think?
Wow.
Some people might have thought Harry Potter was. Some people might have thought that was funny, but Harry Porter didn't have much of a sense of humor. He first went around to all the neighbors and accused them of playing a practical joke on him. They thought he was playing a practical joke on them, or that he had gone crazy. Then Harry went to the police. Under normal circumstances, the police would have been inclined to make sympathetic noises, usher him out of the station house, and forget the whole thing. But they had heard similar cases and wondered if there was a gang of garden gnome thieves operating in the vicinity. They really did investigate the disappearance.
Yeah, it's a whole garden gnome syndicate, I'll betcha.
Okay, but they were not able to find out anything. 2 weeks later, just when the Porter family was getting ready to take its annual vacation, Harry stepped out to the garden and practically fell over one of the gnomes. All four of them were back in their usual places. They were the same gnomes, without a doubt, but in a subtle way they looked different, more relaxed and refreshed than they had before. There was even a hint of a tan. You like that one?
Yeah.
That's an English urban legend.
So, what's interesting about this is because this has become a big thing, and so what people have done is they have started stealing people's gnomes and taking them to different locales, taking pictures of them, and putting them up on social media, and then bringing the garden gnomes back, putting them back in the gardens.
Darth Vader. Some people steal for the sake of stealing. Augustine writes about stealing rotten apples set aside for the pigs. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. But I thought this one was cute.
I love this. This has gone beyond an urban legend and become just a myth. You know.
Yeah.
In fact, if you are a fan of the game The Sims, I don't know how far back it goes, but definitely in the most recent iteration of The Sims and earlier, you can buy in-game if you have a garden or whatever, or just decoration for outside, you can buy garden gnomes and put them outside. And what will invariably happen is eventually they will move around and sometimes show up in your house. Like in a very creepy way, like they'll just be there looking at you. It's very.
It'll be the next Blumhouse movie.
Our gnome has been sitting in our kitchen by the patio door since we got it.
He's probably afraid if he moves, we won't paint him.
I just need to know what kind of paint to use on them, and I'm happy to paint them.
Oh, we got to think about that, right? Because it's got to be something that'll hold up.
Yeah, you're supposed to tell me what kind of paint to use so I could paint them.
All right.
You never told me.
Yeah, you got to remind me.
Apparently, Mark Malinikoff's lease did this back in the 90s.
She took a neighbor's gnome, took photos, and then brought it back. Yeah. And people have done this not just with gnomes. So, like, for example, there was a whole Facebook page dedicated to Judy the Party Primate. Now, this is going back to live from Sparkwood and 21 and Twin Peaks and all that. In a week or so, we're going to be watching Campfire Walk with Me, which is going to introduce the I don't know if you'd call it a character, concept. The name Judy will come up, and that name will be spoken by a little monkey at the very, very end of the movie.
Whoa.
And at the time, we had no idea what Judy was, if the monkey was Judy or anything. So one of the fans decided that the monkey was Judy and got himself a stuffed, that kind of monkey, and brought it to the Twin Peaks Festival and took pictures of Judy all over the place, and it would have different people pose with it. And he was posting these pictures on Facebook on a page dedicated to Judy the party primate. So
cool.
There you go.
I like it.
But yeah, so and
that
I've seen other things like that too.
That's an AI gnome too.
Is it?
Yes, they're all AI pictures I used here.
Just thinking that the Doofenshmirtz, I think you mean Doofenshmirtz, backstory where his father was too poor to keep his lawn gnome. So he dressed his son as one and kept him outside, not allowed to move. That's Doofenshmirtz from
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb, thank you.
That's funny.
I love Phineas and Ferb.
Yes, I know you do.
All right, should I move along?
I don't want you to because you did say you want to do another one of these sometime in the future.
All right, you want me to hold off? You want to end with the gnome?
Yeah, we can end with the gnome.
All right, we'll do that then.
And I don't know. Yeah, because we've already gone, past the 2 hour mark.
The thing that I was mentioning, the hook will make an appearance next time around. Maybe we'll do another one of these in a couple.
Yeah, look, and I think we'll have to do it again, like in October.
Maybe October we'll do some spookier
all
ones. That might
scary
be an idea.
ones. Yeah.
Hey, Netter, I did want to mention to you though, but this is a bonus. This would have been my bonus one if you'd done a bonus one.
Okay.
Apparently, though, I don't have this in the notes, but this was a Bozo the Clown. There's an urban legend about him in the Chicago area.
Oh, I don't think I
that
know
he
that
cussed at a kid live on air.
Huh?
That's entirely possible. Knowing Bob Bell, that's entirely possible. That's at least plausible.
Another one was that the kid cussed at him because he dropped something in some kind of contest, and he's like, oh, like I think he used the D word or whatever,
But the thing is, I don't, at least within my lifetime, I'm pretty sure it was on a delay.
Yeah, I don't think it happened. Yeah,
it was live, but they would have edited that out. But I'll be honest with you, there were moments in the Chicago broadcast of the Bozo Show that, and this was with Bob Bell, it was with his successor too. There were, I'm going to call them Tim Conway, Harvey Korman moments, where Bozo and Cookie would start cracking each other up, or the kid would be doing something that would get them both going. The one that I remember the most was, do you know what the grand prize game is? The grand prize game was a game on every single Bozo show where they get one boy and one girl from the audience to come participate. They'd be chosen at random. And the game was it was also called the Bozo buckets, right?
Yeah.
They had 10 buckets, like pails, hammered into a plank of wood, all equidistant, and you had to stand with your toes right at the line, and you had to throw it into bucket one. And in bucket one, you would win, this, that, and the other.
Usually it was something small like, you get a giant candy bar.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Something.
Oh, it was a bun candy bar. Remember Bun candy bars? I love Bun candy bars. That was always in the first one because Bun was the sponsor. And that's what
you had mentioned this to me on when we were talking
and
about Bozo.
This one kid, he was really little. And the littler kids, they were only going to get one bucket. They always got one bucket. Okay, you couldn't screw this up. However little the kid was, if he threw the ball and missed, Bozo would go, this is a square ball. You need to do this again. Go up and drop it right into bucket number 1. They had to at least win what was in bucket 1. Every kid did, right? Well, this kid walked right around the line, went up to bucket 2, threw it in. And he's like, no, you get up. And Bose is like, well, what the hell do I do? Okay, bucket number 2. You win a this, that, and the other, and the so on and the so forth.
Oh my goodness.
And Cookie, his assistant, right?
Yeah.
Brings out the prizes, and he's laughing. He's laughing. He's like,
This kid went down and put the ball in every
he
single
went
bucket.
to every single bucket, and Bozo was trying so hard, and the audience is laughing, and Cookie's laughing. Cookie had tears coming down his eyes. It's like, and he had this look on his face, like, sorry, Bose, this is your problem, not mine.
Oh, that's funny.
So finally, he missed on the last one. On the last bucket, on bucket 10, he missed, and he went to go get it and put it in. He's like, I'm sorry, you missed. You're done. That's it. It's like, oh, my God. I love that show so much. I saw it live. I think that might still be out there on YouTube. That's one of the classic, I guess you call it blooper, but it was live. It was the way the show went. It wasn't a scripted show. Oh, my gosh. They did have comedy sketches on the show, and sometimes they didn't go exactly right.
According to plan.
There was one where Cookie was playing that he was like Red Riding Hood, and they had the 3 bears and whatnot.
What?
And
fairy tale thing? Okay.
He's acting it out, and it was just meant to be funny because, well, let's face it, it was a male clown dressed up as a girl, so that was funny. And then of course you got the bears all dressed up, and that was all funny, right? The problem was, the whole somebody's been sleeping in my bed and she's still here, right? Cookie jumps up, blah! The bears go, blah! And they start running around. The whole set fell down. Wasn't supposed
that
to.
One.
But it was so funny. They kept it in. It was live. They're like, just go with it. And everyone started laughing. It was just genius. It was classic television.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's like there were a lot like that where there have all these mishaps that happened because, like Troy said, it was live. So nothing they could do about it. So if sets fell over. There would be ones where they're trying to go in or out a door, and the door would get stuck, and they couldn't get it open. You see them like pulling out, trying to get the door open, and it's like the other person would go over and kind of like try and push it to get the door open. And everyone would be cracking up because it's like, okay, that's not supposed to happen.
Oh, I remember Bozo hot dogs.
What?
Yeah, I didn't know about the lawsuit and everything. That's interesting. That's very,
cool.
very interesting.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, Bozo is probably one of those names they probably have a trademark on. And if your name isn't John Bozo, you're not going to be able to get away with it. Yeah.
So, Netta, I take it you also watched Bozo as a kid?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Chicago girl. So
Yep.
Okay.
It's
cool.
like I'd come home. Let's see. It was at noon. So I'd come home from school for lunch. I'd watch Bozo, and I'd have to tear myself away to get back to school on time.
Ha!
That's interesting. When it was on at noon, for me, this was before I started school. It was nap time. So when they started the grand prize, the grand march at the end, it was Mom picking me up and marching me off to bed to take a nap. But later on, they moved it to the early morning. So I'd watch it with my Cheerios in the morning. Yeah. And you would always watch for, like, in the winter months, you'd watch for the announcement to see if your school was closed.
Yeah, when they change it to the morning time, I watch it before school, and again, have to leave before it was over because it's like otherwise
Yep.
I'd be late for school.
Yep. And that's, some of my favorite cartoons were played during Bozo, like The Adventures of Superboy. Those,
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yep, those cartoons.
I
But,
remember Clutch Cargo. It's the first time I
Well,
saw
Clutch
somebody
Cargo-
talk with a rectangular mouth.
Clutch
it's
Cargo
so-
wasn't Bozo. It was
Oh.
who's
Garfield
the
Goose?
Garfield Goose.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
That was another
Clutch
local
Cargo.
Yeah.
That was that was an import from Japan.
Yes,
that
it was.
early Japanese animation that is not spoken about by anime fans. But yes, that's
Oh, it
where
was
Conan
because they
O'Brien.
use real people's mouths.
Yes. So that was a Japanese guy's mouth on there. And they were overdubbing it. Oh my word!
That's interesting.
And that's where Conan O'Brien got the idea when he would have his little faces appear, and then the person's mouth would be over it. Remember, we would do the fake interviews on the Conan O'Brien show. I remember that.
Well, so anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna make this an early night. I'm a little more tired than usual. All the excitement, finding out that I just got monetized. I think it's just worn me out. So I got
That's okay. You got
a week to ramp up for next week, where we're just gonna celebrate big time.
Exactly.
What do we got coming up tomorrow night, Netter? What do we got on Netter's Network's Retro Cinema?
We will be watching Dolores Claiborne.
Yep, that's a good one. It's a Stephen King thriller. I think you'll enjoy it. That's tomorrow night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Thank you again, Connie. The magic was ruined for me when Mom took my cousin and me to WGN for Bozo. No magic arrows flying through the air. No full screen cartoons. And my cousins freaked out and swore that they were, and we were asked to leave. So those of you that don't know, I had just talked about how one boy and one girl would be chosen from the audience at random. Back in the early days, it was these magic arrows. And what it was is they just had these arrows that were animated on screen like this, and the cameraman would just move around the audience, and then they'd stop, they'd pause, and whoever that arrow was pointing at would be the contestant. But sometimes it was an adult.
So
sometimes
we got him on.
We already got a boy. We need a girl, and then they do that again. And then they, after years of doing that, they're like, we're spending too much time getting not what we're looking for. So they started going to the Bozo Pewter, and all it really was your ticket. And it was randomized. The boys were all put, the tickets for the boys were all put, and the girls were all put, and then they just randomize them, and they'd say,
seat number A24.
There you go, and it was boom boom, and they were done.
It's cool that he had his own computer.
Yeah, exactly right. Thanks again. I super appreciate it. So that's Saturday. Sunday, of course, 3 Central, 4 Eastern over on Deleted Scenes for Western Cinema Presents. Then later on at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern, just stay with Deleted Scenes for Unscripted. Then we get over to Age of Boomers channel. What you got going on Sunday?
Well, we're going to be talking about several things. We have some sad remembrances, I guess, going on.
Yeah. We've got Alan Scarfy. I'll talk about him.
And
at least briefly.
We're going to talk a little bit about this box office situation. Like, I'm not calling Hollywood summer box office dead permanently yet, because I know a lot of people are already starting on that. They're thinking it's over. Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I am going to be curious to see how this weekend's box office goes. We might have an update on that on Sunday, and because Furiosa was a big bomb, and people are thinking it shouldn't have bombed. So we're going to talk about that on Sunday, and we got some other things like apparently a Hostel TV series is in the works.
Yep.
Eli Roth. I don't know.
So
There we go.
And then, of course, we'll end off the night with deleted scenes. The Other Side of Midnight. That's midnight Eastern Time, 11 Central. Monday night at the movies will be a special double feature that Netter requested because we were doing Dolores Claiborne. What she wanted was fried green tomatoes, so I decided it would be a tomato twofer. We're gonna have fried green tomatoes followed by Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I remember that movie.
Which
You
will
don't
jump
mess
over
with
the
Mother Nature. Wasn't that one of the lines from it?
I think I've seen that one. I know I've seen the Blob. I don't know if I've seen the Tomatoes one.
I love those kinds of
Told you
movies.
there was a cartoon series about the Killer Tomatoes, and it was the closest I ever saw to a children's equivalent of a zombie apocalypse show.
Kind
like
of.
a Walking Dead,
Yeah.
because you had like your group of survivors trying to survive in like the post, and it was the Killer Tomatoes were on the run.
So a double feature on Monday. That'll be 8 Central, 9 Eastern. And then Tuesday, I almost said The Other Side of Midnight. I'm getting tired, guys. Tuesday, live from Sparkwood and 21. Netter and Agent Boomer and myself will be joining Deleted Scenes. A little bit more talk about Twin Peaks. We are still in the in-between seasons.
Yes.
There was 25 years between season 2 and The Return. We're not going to wait 25 years, but we are going to keep you waiting a little bit because, to honor those 25 years.
Well, I argued we have
we
to
will-
get through all what 6 or 9 seasons of Northern Exposure. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We'll look at some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe Netter and I will talk a little bit about our time at the Twin Peaks Fest, and if we got time, we will get into the extraneous material, Agent Cooper's authorized biography, and his tapes, for which the audio tapes for which Kyle MacLachlan received a Grammy Award.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Tuesday. Thursday, what's going on Thursday? Speaking of Twin Peaks,
Thursday, my guest will be Obnoxious and Anonymous. Now, despite the name, he's actually very sweet.
yep, and he's got a great channel, mostly dedicated to Twin Peaks. More generally, David Lynch. He is a huge super fan. He will be joining us at some future date on Live from Sparkwood and 21, but he will be joining Netter on Thursday as we talk a little bit more about his channel. So that's Thursday. Then a week from today, Friday, back here where we will celebrate my becoming a YouTube partner as opposed to a YouTube slave. So, well, seriously, you it's been, how long have I been doing this? 2 years?
You've been doing it
Maybe
for a
little more
long
than 2
time.
years? And I've made nothing from YouTube, but YouTube has monetized my channel. They've been running commercials and stuff, and they've been making money off it. To me, that makes me a slave.
But
Someone
now-
else profiting off of my work.
Now you're moving on up.
Now I'm a partner, for which they make 30% of every dollar I make.
But look at that lovely gnome.
There you
I'm sorry. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that'll be a cool stream. You'll it's a good time to celebrate.
Yeah.
You can always sing that song. Time to no, I'm kidding. Actually, you're monetized now, but you don't want to.
Right.
Troy's
true.
pick, that's just disturbing. The AI
I
made
I
that.
appreciate you doing this for me.
If you want, I'll send it to you.
bizarre.
Keep it in your archives. It's yours if you want it. Okay.
Thanks. That's, wow. I swear, it looks like lower right there. It looks like a gun or something pointed at us.
Yeah,
That's just
that's
weird.
probably just I don't know.
Troy's pick.
Yeah, that's what I.
Well, at
typed
least
into
it got
the AI.
words. Whenever I try to do anything with words, it comes out just letters.
I think I
salad.
typed in Troy's pick poster, and that because I was using Canva. I don't know how sophisticated Canva's AI thing is compared to others, but that's what I was using. Cool.
Mark Malikoff says, Troy, we need Klingon gnomes. It's funny you say that because a couple years ago I picked up at a craft store the little soldiers, the Nutcracker soldiers. I was going to paint them up like Klingons.
Cool.
Well, I could put some ridges on my gnome. Just saying.
That could be cool too. There you go. So, any last thoughts? Any last words? Any last anything there?
Any?
Yeah.
Well, Netter usually takes us out, right?
I could take you out. I got a couple of weapons here.
No, I meant.
She'll
Congratulations, Troy. That's my final words. It's been
Thank
a long
you
time
so
coming.
much. I super appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like, and I want to thank everyone for the super chats and super stickers. You so encouraged Troy tonight.
You really did.
It's like
did.
I
this isn't even the big celebration stream when you guys
Mm-hmm.
are encouraging me.
Yeah, so if those of you get paid next week, yeah.
Oh, actually, there was one thing I forgot. I will be on tomorrow at noon on Pop's channel talking Ghostbusters.
Cool.
Because tomorrow's Ghostbusters Day.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And that's all I got. Take us out.
And I'm looking.
She's like, what? Oh, okay.
Do you want me to take you out in the Italian way, or do you want me to take you out to my
However
outro?
you want. I'm at your mercy. I have been for over 30 years.
We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. Hi, Sashi.
Yeah.
It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys, and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here. That is so encouraging, not just for those of us on the panel, but for those that are in the chat, because you're not just encouraging us, you're encouraging them as well. And the way you guys welcome newcomers, it's like you just welcome into our family. You make them feel like they are instantly a part of this family, because that's what we are. What was it? I want to say Stargate. I'm probably getting the name wrong because I'm drawing a blank. But you welcomed him like so readily, and it's like, and I know you do that with anyone that comes in new. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for being a part of our actual family. I mean, you are our family. And until next time, I'm tired, so I'm rambling.
Yep.
Good night, and God bless.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. It really is fun. You guys hanging out with you on Friday really gets me through the week, let me tell you. Well, you guys and, the drink. But anyway, I thank you so much. I will absolutely catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.